I'm joined here by Ryan Justus, a recent graduate from the Theater Arts MA program at SF State. How are you doing today, Ryan?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Vertical. In this time of complexity. And Ryan just finished this past spring, and your thesis was on burlesque.
Yes. So I was researching burlesque and 21st century practices within the burlesque community, exploring how social media might be used as an extension of their onstage performances, and whether or not that was how they approached it or if it was something separate.
I remember that project.
It was a fun one. It was a very interesting rabbit hole to go down.
So can you tell our prospective students who might be thinking about coming to SF State to do an MA in theater arts, what drew you to the program here?
So I've always intended to get my master's, and then actually back in 2005, I had actually looked at the SF State program, but it just didn't align with where I was at with my career and what was going on, and it just didn't make sense at that moment. But in 2018, I was in a place in my career where I had some flexibility in my schedule and was able to make it actually a reality. And I've also been contemplating career transition, so I thought it was a good time to look at that. And for SF State's program, what I really appreciated was that it was professional friendly. So meaning that I didn't have to quit my full-time job while I was doing the program. And also the fact that it was able to be completed within a 2-year time frame ensured that I could manage that work-life school balance in that 2-year period for that contained time frame.
Oh, okay, yeah, because you were one of several students who have full-time jobs.
Correct.
And then
Correct.
do the MA also. What kinds of things do you feel like you learned while you were in the program?
So for me, the majority of what I've done in my career involving the performing arts was actually centered around the entertainment aspect of performing arts. So as I moved away from my undergraduate studies and took that break, I found that I sort of forgot how to think about performing arts as a way to communicate with the audience, informing them, challenging them, inspiring them. So for me, it was a chance to re-examine those avenues. But I also think what I learned was a lot about myself, more than I anticipated, because the faculty was so encouraging and challenged me to think critically about theater in a way that maybe I hadn't before, through listening to my ideas and helping me to go down those research paths that I may have just maybe not thought about before. And an example of that would also be that the staff or the faculty was very encouraging of the process of my application for submitting a paper for a graduate conference to be presented. And that was a very unique experience another thing I never thought I'd be doing in my career.
And now I know that you presented that virtually?
Correct. It was virtually, received feedback from the University of Hawaii on the paper, tying it into Butoh Theater, which was wonderful.
That's fantastic. So now you said earlier that you are contemplating a career transition.
Correct.
Could you talk a little bit about what you're planning to do with your MA and why you needed an MA in theater arts to go and do that?
Sure. I've been a dance educator for over 20 years, and I wanted to transition into drama and theater education within a high school setting. So I wanted to make sure that I was staying competitive within that field, and presenting, showing that I had a depth of knowledge as I was applying for these positions. Especially since I don't have my teaching credential yet, I've actually been accepted to a credentialing program that I'm exploring. So with that, along with the master's, I feel that it'll make me a very strong candidate for any school.
Excellent. And you mentioned when we first hopped on that you're interviewing actively right now.
I am actively interviewing, yes.
Yeah. How many interviews would you say you have had in the past?
I have had 5 interviews in varying distances from my center point. So some are a bit further than I'd like to go. So I'm trying to keep it a little bit tighter to the East Bay.
Wow, but that's great. It sounds like it's already made a difference, which is...
It has.
So any last words about why a prospective student should consider the MA in theater arts at SF State?
I think the best thing about the program, and some things I didn't necessarily realize at the onset, was what a global perspective the department takes to theater, that it's not just centered around what's happening in the US. There's exploration of world theater in so many ways, and also the impact, that theater can have on different cultures and different peoples. I also think that one of the things I really appreciated is that the faculty generally let me focus projects into things that would be helpful for my career goals. So I was actually able to create tools, lesson plans, or projects that will directly relate to being able to be used in a classroom setting with my, hopefully, future students.
That's great. Well, thank you, Ryan, for talking with us today about your
Thank you so much.
with the theater MA, and keep us posted on those interviews.
Will do. Thank you so much.